It's the Luke Pete Show. Pete Donaldson with you, joined by Mr. Lukey Mo. Lukey Mo, how the devil are you doing? I'll tell you how I'm doing. I'm nearly choking on some Japanese chewing gum I found in my back pocket this morning. I clearly haven't washed these trousers since I got back from Japan, and now I'm having some delicious green bar chewing gum.
It's exhilarating broadcasting with you as ever, because I quite literally never know what you're going to say next. The Luke and Pete Show is, I think, hopefully quite infamous for that, but it is sincere. I genuinely never know what the conversation is going to be. I never know what you're going to say. I never know what you've been doing. Last time we chatted, we talked quite a lot about us being little barrel boys, didn't we?
Little boys in barrels.
Wearing barrels for
the
clothes.
trope back in the 80s and 90s was if you were poor and you had no money and you're destitute, you would just wear a barrel as a shirt.
And it's a measure of how far society has fallen that I think that barrels would probably be quite expensive these days.
Well, that's wood,
you
isn't
would
it,
get
I suppose,
a barrel
yeah.
from like an East London emporium.
Yeah.
For like some kind of decorative purpose in your home. I reckon you're paying north of £100.
Oh, definitely. And I walk down the street and I see a bit of scrap wood, and that used to be like, oh, this place has gone to the dogs. I'm like, that's valuable. I'm going to put it in the car. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm like
my mate who puts dead bodies in the car.
Say again.
My mate who puts the dead bodies of animals in his car.
That's right. Yes, valuable, isn't it? Good for fertilizer. You'd probably imagine. Very good for.
But that's not why he does it. Is there any piece of wood that you wouldn't kind of commandeer?
Well, the problem is Sammy in particular loves doing shits on anything that's slightly raised from the ground. So if there's a bit of cardboard on the floor, if there's a bit of wood, he'll have a go at he'll balance his little tuckus, as the Americans might say, and pop out a little brown trait. He'd balance his derrick precariously on a lovely bit of decking wood, and he'd just call one out and just go, hey, look, it deserved its own stand.
Yeah, I like that he feels that that's a stage to be performed upon.
Well, dogs do that because they want other dogs to see that they're a larger dog, because they want to poo on higher and higher sort of platforms. So the dogs will try and poo on like a step over.
It's almost a bit like, if you draw a circle on the floor in chalk, a cat will go inside it and curl up into it.
Oh, I like that. Nice.
So they like to be enclosed, but they'll even be confused by something drawn on the ground. They'll feel like they're inside something and therefore they're safer. Don't
ants do that as well? I think ants might do that as well. But that might just be they're small enough to deal with carbon and chalk being quite like a little hill or something.
Ants can solve problems together though, can't they? They're pretty good.
Yeah, clever little.
Probably one of the most impressive. I think it's probably pretty poor form to kill an ant. Not
if you've got a massive infestation like me. I go.
Well, that's like Stalin said, isn't it? One death is a tragedy, 30,000 deaths is a statistic. It's different.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't execute everyone with boric acid, but I mean, I'm sure if you get enough of it, he would do.
From the kettle down the hole.
Oh no!
Yeah. Is it poor form to kill ants? I think ants are important, aren't they?
They are, but if they're becoming a nuisance and digging up the cement in your garden, that's an annoyance that the ants can involved? Do that else. The ants can do that elsewhere. So I'm
just saying, present them with that option then.
Present them with that option. My daughter absolutely loves ants, and if she knew that I was in any way an ant murderer, she'd be very upset. But she doesn't have to know that.
My list, which has remained unchanged for I think over a decade now, at least a decade, possibly even longer, of the pests I will kill is always the same. Flies, mosquitoes and wasps.
Right, okay.
Everything else is will get put outside in a respectful manner.
Yeah. My list is moths.
I think moths is unfair.
Ants if they're becoming destructive.
Ants if they're over a certain number.
Ants if they're only if
individual ants you're going to put outside.
A firm of ants. You're getting the boric acid, I'm afraid. You're getting done. I don't even know what collection.
I don't even know what boric acid is.
I think it's just a thing that pops ants, I suppose. I think it makes their bodies swell or something. But
an army of ants is the collective noun. By the way.
Army of ants, of course. It is. Yes.
Colony is also accepted. I just mentioned Big Pav there earlier. He for some reason calls the arse the derrick. I don't know why. And the reason I know that is because I've had many a time playing football with him where he's wanted me to mark her forward a bit more tightly. I want to see you right up his derrick, is what he'll say. That's
But
all I
that
know.
means, I mean, it depends on if you're facing goal or not, I suppose. You would, if you're shielding the ball, if you've taken a pass from the goalkeeper, you want to be getting your Derek out.
Oh no,
You
yeah, it's
wanna
just
be,
when I'm marking. It's not when I'm picking up the
right.
ball.
You want to be brave with your bunder.
When I when I asked him why he called it a derrick, he said it's because when they were kids they couldn't pronounce derriere properly, so they just used to say derrick.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah,
Why
which
were they
is one
even
of the most proud
trying to
things ever.
pronounce derriere?
That big Pav would look
Very
sensational
enjoyable.
in a bankruptcy barrel.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Well, you before the recording made an AI make a picture of me in a barrel, and
It's rubbish.
you've
I can't
managed
use
to.
AI.
You are
I'm
the
a man out of time. I don't know how
you
to do
are
it.
the only, even though like every man of our age spends all of his time making everything in his life out of AI, from
I don't.
five-a-side
I've rejected
football team charts to whatever. They just spend all the time making AI and causing the heat death of the world. And you have managed to make, I think, the worst picture using AI that I have ever seen.
I'm living in the dark ages. I'm living in the dark ages. I don't know how I'm doing it.
But it's almost charming. You know, like people
I
have
could've done it
a real problem with AI. They have a real problem with AI. But I think if they saw your work, they'd be like, you know what? He's made something so
Was there a charm
precious,
to it?
so precious and charming. You've got to know the rules to break the rules, and you've absolutely astounded me with how poor that picture of me in a barrel is.
How have I done that? Because I used Claude. And we have to share it for people to.
Yeah, I mean, what you've done,
How
I
have I
think
done
it's,
it?
I think how normal image generation, it sort of combines a lot of images until it gets to a point where it's, recognizable as
Oh, I
an
saw
image.
this one being drawn in front of me.
Yes, so I think what Claude has done here, it's used a vector approach to things, and it's basically told the screen, right, draw a square with a circular kind of bottom and a shadow, all from primitive objects. So there's 5 or 6 circles there. There's a curve, like a sort of structured curve they've drawn there. The arms are horrific, but they've made them out of 3 or 4 circles with some masking. And in many ways, it's
poor.
actually more technically interesting that Claude's done that. But it does look like the daubings of a 3-year-old.
Yes, I was unhappy with it.
Yeah.
I have to say, I kind of thought it would be one of those super. So on the way into the office in the morning, have you seen it? Do you walk from Warren Street or nah?
I go Fenchurch Street.
Oh,
I
okay.
sometimes just cycle upstairs.
So
Fenchurch
from
Street
on the walk from Warren Street before you get to Fitzroy Square, there's a kind of Indian cafe type place.
Right.
It's
There's
open
loads
early.
around sort of Euston sort of area as well.
Yeah.
Fucking lovely.
And they've got an amazing AI generated sandwich board outside their cafe.
It's so sad to see.
And it says like delicious curry dishes inside or something. But the thing is, obviously, we would prefer that to not be AI generated. But I guess for them, it's it's a quick job and it's easier.
Yeah, but it also,
and I was kind of hoping
everything
it would be
looks so-
something like that, but it isn't anything like that.
No, the thing about AI, it just always looks like it's got a lovely film of piss. It's like the PS3 era. Every game on the PS3 had this piss filter on it, from like Metal Gear Solid to everything else, and to Resident Evil and stuff. And they all just had this sort of, like when they go to Mexico in a film, everything just gets covered in a yellow film that looks like piss. Every bit of AI just looks like piss. There's quite a good AI sort of there's an AI policeman or AI kind of Instagram account that basically goes through a lot of bands are quite bad for it these days, and especially bands who've probably got a bit of money behind them and a record company behind them to put their festival appearances out on using a proper graphic designer. And it's I think everyone's sort of flirted with it, and it's up to you to sort of choose how exposed you want to be and how much you're kind of satisfied with it. The new Crazy Taxi. Do you know the Sega video game
Yes,
Crazy
I've
Taxi?
seen that's back,
Crazy Taxi, that's back. That's
to love
used
that at
generative. That's used generative AI, and it's very interesting to see the Japanese developers how they approach things compared to, and the Chinese developers, Korean developers actually, how they sort of how they're releasing games, and they literally can't understand why the West are up in arms. The Western sort of video game fans are up in arms about the use of generative AI, because it's just not thought of in the East. They just sort of go.
Well, also, when it comes to designing of video games, presumably a lot of the process of it is automated anyway.
A lot of it is, and I think the way that people use the generative AI is, I mean, they sort of say that they use it in the drafting stage where, you know, like how an artist, and, you know, most artists who, you know, may even be listening to this show while they're daubing and painting their beautiful things, they use artwork to influence them. They use kind of like, mood boards and stuff, and they use imagery from different places. But AI just feels like one of those things where it's because it's on the backs of artists, and it's a very boring and done argument. It just feels like that kind of shortcut is just unacceptable for a lot of people. I think certainly on the art side of things, I think it'll probably settle down to about that. People who use it in development, but the actual creation of the art and textures may remain in. It will still remain quite toxic. I wouldn't like to see. I mean, this probably goes without saying, and people who know me will know I think this already. But I wouldn't like to see anything that is artistic in nature be generated by an artificial intelligence. I think it's a complete category error. There's a complete misidentification of what it actually is, because is there a place for it? Is there a place for AI art and judge it on its merits?
I think there's a place for it in processes and in you know certain areas, but in terms of, you know, think of like the idea of an artificial intelligence writing a song. I mean, it's got absolutely no, by definition, not because of my opinion of the song, which may or may not be technically a good song. To me, the definition of it alone renders it completely obsolete to me and my desire to want to listen to it. Because ultimately, every good piece of art that's worth the name is built around the concept of the relationship between the art, the artist, and the consumer of it. So to me, you know, you can't, and it's going to sound pompous, so forgive me, right? But if you go to a gallery and you look at a painting, you may or may not like that painting. You may or may not connect with it. You may not even understand it, particularly in some more of the modern work. But ultimately, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But you can make that assessment knowing that another human being is trying to communicate or to entertain you, however you want to phrase it, with their art. If there's no human at the start of it, it isn't art. We may need to come up with a new category for it, and it doesn't mean it's. I personally think it's less valid and totally invalid. But other people, other generations who come along after us who feel differently about these things, there may well be a place for it for them. But for me, it's completely irrelevant. It's like
I just don't think there's anything stopping people sort of saying, like, using generative musical, creation, using it, and then just sort of going, right, I'll just cover it. I'll build that song again by my own hand and say that I came up with it. Who's going to prove? You know what I mean? Like, who's going to be like?
Even that though, to me, I get why you're saying that 100%. But even
people will do it. They just will.
Of course they will, and I know they will. And maybe in a lot of cases, people won't even know that's what's happened, right? So that creates its own problem, and so I understand that. But it's like, this does sound very analog and very old person. I get it, and I totally understand that. And in some areas, you've got to just admit that you are who you are, and you're of the generation you are. But why on earth? I mean, just answer me this admittedly quite cringy, pompous question. You know, why would you ever want to listen to a love song that's not written by a human being who's experienced that emotion? It doesn't make any. I don't understand. It's a genuine question. I don't understand why you would get anything out of that.
I know, and I don't think you're ever going to get a satisfying answer, because the sort of people who would sort of sling those answers at you are lying to themselves.
Yeah,
and they're the sort of people who, you know, to be honest, probably don't like music anyway. It's anti-music. It's anti-everything. So what about if you know that music you get in, say, hotels or certain types of American supermarkets, like music type stuff? Obviously, at some point in the past, that had to be written by a human being, right? And they were probably just a bit like, "Oh, I've got to do this job." You know, no one wants to buy my fucking my 90-minute long saxophone concept album, so I'm going to do this to make a bit of money. That presumably will be generated artificially from now, right? Yeah. So they'll lose the scant, adverts and stuff like that. They'll lose the scant kind of money they got from even creating that, crap.
and that's the other thing, isn't it? Like, you're also, I don't know if you've seen this. This is a slight tangent, but and you probably won't have seen it, but very quickly, because I think it has got a little bit of relevance. It's the most recent season of Clarkson's Farm. A lot of it is about automated farming.
Right. Okay.
And I'm kind of curious as to see how it'll go down, because the premise that they create for it is that Clarkson's basically saying farming doesn't work financially for anyone really now. And so we have to be honest about that and look at how we can do it in a different way. And that's really the only premise that's been laid out there. And then he just goes and gets like an automated tractor, which is GPS accurate to within like 5 millimeters, and gets it to dig his field, cultivate his stuff, plant his seeds, and no one has to be involved. And I kind of feel like, because I'm not a farmer, crucially, right? I feel like, okay, that's probably, an amazing development technologically, and there's no art element here. But at the same, so I guess that's kind of a positive development for a lot of reasons. But the flip side of that is like, well, you've got to find something to do with these farmers the same way we had to find something to do with the miners when we stopped doing mining, and we didn't, and everyone got fucked over. Yeah. What's the kind of what's the follow-up to this? And I wonder how that's going to be received, because Clarkson, of course, has taken a huge amount of credit, and in many cases rightly so, for his support of farming in Britain generally. Yet he's flipped it in some way with this by saying, well, you don't need to do it now, because and his like his little kind of sidekick is like, well, I don't really understand this, because I quite like driving tractors. So why are you fucking? I've always driven tractors. It's like my job. So why are you fucking doing this? So it's quite interesting how that will be received as well.
Well, especially because, I mean, I guess the problem with Clarkson is we all know why he got into owning a farm. So it's kind of like, I don't necessarily think he's the most. He's obviously a very famous farmer now, and he's obviously a mouthpiece for a generation of farmers. But it is kind of like, I don't necessarily trust him as being a reliable narrator about what's. He can talk about the struggles and how farming does, and I do agree with that. I do agree you're in that situation, but fundamentally, like, haven't farmers always sort of moved in this direction anyway? From the first man who had to run around his field waving his arms around to get rid of the insects, to the man who put fertilizer and chemicals in the soil that would stop the crickets from eating the crops and stuff. So it's kind of like they've always grabbed technology with both hands. But yes, I mean, there's something, we obviously losing the romance of a man with a 2-stroke engine puttering around the
or before that a horse
and stuff, or before that a horse.
But I guess the reason that's what I'm saying is, like, I feel like it's relevant is because the way he got into owning a farm, I'm presuming you're saying that because it would be some kind of tax avoidance reason, right? Okay, I didn't know that.
It is inherent tax.
Fine,
inheritance tax treaty.
Fine, but he was named the National Farmers Union farming champion in like 2021. Like, they love him, right? And I for raising all awareness.
Because no one's speaking for them. You know what I mean? There's no famous. The most famous farmers would be some bloke on Country File you see every third Sunday afternoon. Do you know what I mean? Like,
good program, by the way.
Good program.
Do you think it's a good program?
Yes, I think so. I think it's a quintessentially English. I think it should be protected. I think it's one of those things that the BBC should be celebrated for.
Agree. Hard agree from me.
Rather than the Voice and stuff like that.
The only thing it's got going against it is back in the day when I had a proper job, it was accompanied by quite a lot of Sunday scaries. A lot of kind of one Country File's over. Sunday's basically on its way out and it's working.
Right, okay.
But that's not Country File's fault, is it?
No. It's as soon as they seek him, as soon as they seek him, it's
not him now, is it? It's what's his name? Ali Jones,
a long time ago. Yeah, Ali Jones. Yeah. It's just why? That's the thing, though. Like, at least with Seacombe, you just would trust him to be. He's in the goodies and stuff. He's probably, received a few. A bit of oral sex. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like.
Yeah, but crucially, from 2001, he was quite literally dead. So
yes,
he couldn't carry on doing the show.
No head, dead. Yeah. But I just feel I don't know why, but why we can't have these kind of like men with a bit of a wink in their eyes. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like he put himself about a little bit in
People
the 70s.
Who've done stuff.
Harry Seacombe with that beautiful booming voice, and Aled Jones takes over, and he's just a bit. He's like dish soap. Do you know what I mean? He's like a soggy hand sanitizer bottle.
I know what you mean.
It's just,
I feel like that's kind of a hallmark of modern society generally, though, isn't it? It's like the thing that the two lads on The Rest Is History talk about a bit when they talk about Thatcher's government, Thatcher's cabinet,
Yeah.
is they always like just get absolutely stunned by the sheer amount of war heroes that are in the cabinet. Like there's like 6 of them who've got like really decorated for their conduct in the Second World War, and you've got like the kind of the Undersecretary for Pensions has been like he stormed a German position in a tank and like and got all these awards for bravery. Like you don't really see that now, do you? It's like you don't really see people who've lived lives in public life or entertainment now. Yeah, Harry Seacombe died at 79. He always looked about 85. So I don't know how that works.
I just always think I always saw him as he just always for me was just he was the UK's crier. He was the town crier, for the UK. He's just a loud booming man who just shouts.
But on the other hand, Alan Jones did appear in a series of The Masked Singer. So does that change your
it's a good
does
point.
that change your opinion?
My favourite priest at school died this week, or died last week.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
That's all right. Father Hogarth, I hadn't seen him some time, but he was 84 when he died, I think. And I was sort of reminiscing with a mate who knew him about this priest and stuff. He was kind of like one of those blokes who you'd look back and sort of go, like how we all look back and sort of go, oh, everyone was autistic then, weren't they? And like he was just on the spectrum somewhere. And he was quite an interesting fella, but very, very just he just had one of those brains where you're like, you was just seemed very unique to him. And then now you look back and sort of go, oh yeah, okay, he was in the priesthood, and he had that kind of brain, and it was he had some kind of neurodiversity, and it was like going back over like the priests that we sort of used to talk to and stuff. And your favourite priests were just the drunk ones. Do you know what I mean? They're just like
could have got a bit of interest about them, yeah.
They'd always have, because priests by their very nature have to wear a lot of black clothing, and for some reason a lot of them really fucking loved like eating quite a lot of eggs for breakfast, and so they'd always they'd be pissed and they'd have food down there, like eggs down their front all the time, pottering around the
It's really hard to discern whether you think you're classing this as a positive thing or not.
I think it is a positive thing. I just feel like they're up to stuff. Do you know what I mean? They're men of God, but they're men. They're thoughtful people, but they're it looks like they've lived a bit of a life.
I think it's Nick Cave who says the real interest for him around things like faith and men of the cloth and stuff like that is found in the uncertainty, in the doubt. Yes. And if you've got one that's got a bit of doubt, i.e. it's a bit rough around the edges, that's where it becomes quite interesting. But I wanted to lean into that kind of Margaret Thatcher's cabinet being war heroes thing. But you just don't see people of this weight now. It's Airey Neave, who was assassinated by the IRA in the late 70s. He was like the Ministry for Transport, and also one of the first. I think he was literally the first person to ever escape from Colditz. It's just
imagine putting that away.
It's an amazing
putting that away for a desk job. It's amazing,
and you know what annoys me about it? They probably don't talk about it, do they?
No.
Back then they wouldn't talk about it, would they?
No.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
I've got about 5 months of podcasting out of me knocking down a wall in my garden.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Talk about
Terrible.
it more. My late granddad only started talking about his war service as he got much older. And he once just chucked in there. It was his 90th birthday, and some family made him a cake, and we were having a little thing for him, and it was just in the family. There was only about 10 people there.
Yeah.
And someone asked him to say a few words. And he said, I hope I don't make 100, was the first thing he said, which is obviously pleasing. And the second thing he said was, my favourite birthday was my 21st birthday, when all the Chinese were trying to bomb my van.
Right,
because he was in Korea the Royal Engineers, and I think he was driving a military truck, taking a lot of bridge parts to a bridgehead.
Yeah.
And he said that the Chinese knew he was there, or the North Koreans or whatever, and they were trying to bomb him. And he said it was the most exciting birthday ever. And I was like, well, and I get why he's saying that. He wants to kind of articulate how he feels. He's getting towards the end of his life. But the way he said it, it was a bit like, yeah, but realistically, you're not going to get a birthday similar to that.
No.
You're living in Southern Hampshire in 2020.
Maybe you could, recreate it.
Bomb my granddad in the garden for his happy birthday.
Talk to the man at the Chinese restaurant around the corner. I go, listen.
What's in this box? It's a grenade.
Listen, can you come around my granddad's house?
That's racist.
Why is that? You said the Chinese, and those guys presumably would be Chinese, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
There we go. Thank you. Not racist.
But
If you shout not racist.
Okay, you've basically put me in a situation where any
Yes.
response I make to it has to sound racist. Which I think it's the same as being racist.
I think I'm going to start becoming a like one of those kind of podcasters. Are you familiar with Tony Hinchcliffe, the Kill Tony host? Sort of like cat sort of man. He sort of talks.
Let me Google him. I'll probably
like
recognise
this,
him.
and he's a
Tony.
cat man, and he does like kind of roast comedy. And
I don't think I know him. No, your impression isn't helping.
He sort of talks like this, and he's very, very sassy, and he talks about, and he basically just slates everybody. Like his whole thing is like he gets a lot of comedians on,
apparently.
load of comedians on, loads of punters on, members of the public, and he just gets the comedians and himself sort of go, oh yeah, and he
performs at Donald Trump rallies apparently.
His main shtick is black stuff, Asian people, Muslim stuff. He's the worst. He's not only the worst sort of stand-up, and I'm using the word stand-up very, very loosely. I know you love a bit of stand-up chat. He's not a stand-up. He's just a racist.
Right,
Do you know what I
okay.
mean? And he is incredibly popular, and I cannot fathom the caliber of man, usually men, who find him utterly charming. He is the most disgusting snake human who ever lived.
It's like an Andrew
kind of,
Dice Clay type character who would like sell out the garden 5 nights in a row, and you watch it back now and you're like, people lost their fucking minds in the 80s.
He is
so poor.
Andrew Dice Clay has one like in his little finger, he has more skill than this.
I mean, that is saying something.
Portent of the apocalypse.
That
a
is saying
turd
something.
of a man. And he did a Netflix special quite recently, and I was like, I wonder what that's like, because I've seen it basically. I've seen him do a roast of WrestleMania. He did WrestleMania, basically invited him to do it. Tony Hinchcliffe, Kill Tony, about WrestleMania, where he just basically invited people on and did his own material about the wrestlers, and and all of the jokes were basically, if the wrestler was Mexican, it went about as well as you'd imagine. If the wrestler was Japanese, it went about as, it couldn't get a handle on whether they were Korean. Like, the jokes were all about being from China. It was just confusing. It's almost like it's so perverse. It's almost like an art form, and it's kind of like, how has he done this? How has he managed to get this sort of career? And he's incredibly successful. He does like a live podcast, Kill Tony, every week apparently, and I'm not going to use a lot of his stuff, but I watched a bit of his Netflix special. It's like he's got up on stage, a legendary theatre where like a lot of like leading lights about the day.
I'm really worried about where this is going.
He just gets up and he hasn't got any stuff to talk about. He doesn't do any material. He just sort of goes, "What's your name?" Oh, you're a black guy. You should be called Deshaun instead of Sean.
Is he camp as you're making him out to be?
Yeah, he sounds like a cat. He sounds like a talking cat, and it's worth a watch, because I think he even went back and edited it, because he was just getting so much dogs abuse on
Dogs you say
no,
dogs
sorry,
World Cup mode.
Sorry,
very nice.
Dogs abuse. It was astonishing, but he's well worth looking at, because his stand up is fucking atrocious. I think he deleted his last special because he didn't want people watching it, because he's so bad. He's got writers, and the best he can do is, black people are this.
He's got like 3 Netflix specials.
He's honestly worth a little. If you like a little hate watch like me,
I'll give it a go. If it's giving me like a
minutes.
car crash, I'll watch it. But
It's like a talking racist cat who hasn't got any material, just up on stage for an hour. It's amazing.
Andrew Dice Clay clip I'm referring to specifically is he's playing like Madison Square Garden, sold out, and he does about 10 minutes of like nursery rhymes he's rewritten to make them vulgar, and the crowd are like shouting along with it. It's honestly,
is that his main material? Yeah. If you watch watch any like Adam Sandler tapes from back in the day, you're like,
I used to. But the thing is, though, and this is going to come back to bite me, I know, because I imagine they're terrible, right? I genuinely wouldn't have listened to any of them since like 1991, right?
Yeah.
But when we were kids, me and my mates, we had a couple of Adam Sandler cassettes, and we used to think they were the funniest thing ever. We used to listen to them all the time.
It's just voice, isn't it?
He would do songs, he'd do comedy songs, he'd do voices. A lot of it's probably hugely problematic now. But is that not how he made his name doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, just doing that. I
tell you, as 10-year-olds, we just thought it was the fucking most amazing thing ever.
You know, I guess they've got money these days, the 10-year-olds. Maybe that's the old.
But that was also at the height of like entertainment for us. Like, because he would have been on like Saturday Night Live probably from the late 80s maybe. And so he would do this stuff, but for us, like, I didn't even know what Saturday Night Live was then, and there's no way we would have got any kind of consistent entertainment from the US. Yeah, like because you just wouldn't have access to it. So that genuinely, like, it just it makes me sound like the world's oldest bloke. But we used to like sit around in my mate's bedroom after school, and he'd put the cassette on, and we would just sit there listening to it, cracking up and pausing it and rewinding it for the funniest stuff. And that was like a proper night's entertainment for us. It's bad, isn't it? It sounds like a Stone Age man, like around a fire.
It's a miracle we're so liberal these days, one would suggest. Right, we'll be back for more Luke and Pete Show the next time out. And if you want to get to the show, hello@lukeandpeteshow.com. We'll get through some emails in the next show. I think that's probably the direction of travel the show should take in the next one. Look after yourselves. Take it easy. See you goodbye,
later.
Lukey. Bye-bye.